It's a very good morning to the Gelding and races today at Flemington. You and I are in top form, Gelding. 3 wins and a second after a very successful day at Caulfield on Wednesday. Can we keep it going today?
Good morning, Professor. Good morning, listeners. Let's hope so, Professor. An interesting week on the punt after Saturday when we were very, very confident, and results didn't go our way. And then we do a special on the Wednesday for our listeners, and geez, it could have been a fill-up day, Professor.
Well, it was a fill-up day in some respects, Gelding.
It was a good day for GM Racing with 3 winners and a second. Place Parlay was good, but Professor, I'm sitting on a ticket here with an all-up Parlay win bet for a $7 winner, a $5 winner, a $2.60 winner, and we've got the $1.80 favourite in the last.
Came second.
Change of riding tactics. Professor, what are you? Are you allowed to strangle jockeys, are you? You can see why people get frustrated. The jockey rides it completely different to the way it won its last start. And, of course, it gets run down by a horse both you and I said was going to be its obvious danger, but which it beat last start by running it off its legs. This time it gave it the sit and wait, and it ran over the top of it. But I'm over it, Professor. Don't think I'm dwelling on it.
Gelding, there's 2 words for that.
Build a bridge.
No, that's racing.
That's racing, yes.
All right.
Well, but still a very successful day to all listeners and ourselves. So good to do, and the very, very successful Professor's Parlay is still alive from Wednesday.
Yeah, well, yeah, Gelding, I was speaking during the week to Jack from Richmond, and he didn't have time to watch the show last week on Wednesday, and much to his regret, he says.
So he obviously made more money doing other stuff than listening in. He could have made money from our tips.
Well, in fairness, he was working.
Yes.
All right, Gelding, 9 races on the card today. The feature race 7, the Group 3 Standish Handicap, $250,000 race, over 1,200 metres. Now, Gelding, the Standish Handicap.
Another question without notice?
No, I've got it today. Captain Frederick Standish, former VRC chairman and former Chief Commissioner of Police. And Gelding, credited with the idea of having a race named the Melbourne Cup.
Wow. Well, you learn something new every day. I knew he was a chairman at the VRC, Professor, but wasn't aware of the other job, Commissioner of Police. Kind of conflict of interest there? No, not real.
Now, Gelding, your mastermind question for today, the question without notice is, yes, you knew he was the former VRC chairman. What years was Frederick Standish the chairman of the VRC?
Well, let's ding
question without notice.
1850 to 1857.
Geez, you're not bad, Gelding, but not quite. 1881 to 1883.
Oh, bugger. Oh, well, I thinking he was a young one. But anyway.
Now,
1883.
Now, Gelding, before we move on from talking about last
a time-honoured race, the Standish Handicap, Professor.
Yes, it is, and good to see names of races are respected and retained, and there's no sponsor in front of the Standish Handicap. I don't know whether that's because they can't get one or because they want to keep it as the Standish Handicap.
Well, let's hope they want to keep it that way, but can you tell me why they've moved it, Professor?
Where have they moved it from, Gelding?
New Year's Day, the Standish and the Standish Handicap and the Bagot used to always be run on New Year's Day.
Well, because they thought it was a good idea at the time, Gelding. That's the only answer I can give you.
It used to be the running double. The
Yeah.
sprinters over the Standish and then the stayers in the baguette.
Yeah.
But typical committees mucking around with things.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think that's Sportsfan Radio's moral, isn't it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Professor, just completely off the sideline and that, and another thing, another pet hate of mine and all that. I was watching a show on Racing Victoria, and it had the jockeys manager on. It had the bloke from Moonee Valley CEO, and it had two trainers on. And the trainer said, of course, the club should do more for the trainers and all that, and we should help pay their staff. The jockey manager said there's too much racing. The jockeys are expected to do way too much, as we've heard from Craig Robinson, Sportsfans Radio. But the bloke from the Moonee Valley said, you know what, there may be too much racing, there may be too many jockeys, and there may be too many trainers. And I was sitting there watching it, and Flemington, I felt like ringing up the show. Why do we have 4 committees running racing in Victoria?
One of your pet hates, Gelding.
VRC, MRC, Moonee Valley, and you've got Racing Victorias. They've all got a CEO. They've all got financial officers. They've all got their own things. Why isn't there just a central place like Hong Kong? And we might be successful like Hong Kong. Then with the trainers, we got 700 trainers. Well, why give so many trainers? Jockeys complaining about having to ride at 2 meetings. Why don't bring a rule and say they can only ride at 5 meetings a week? And they don't, anyway.
All right,
I'm back on the races, Professor.
Let's get back to the races, Gelding. You've taken us down a rabbit hole there. The track's rated a good 4, but warning to punters. Rain is predicted during the day, and if we get some, we might get a bit. So the good 4 might be downgraded if there's a bit of rain. The rail out 9 metres, not as far as at Caulfield last week, Gelding.
No, not down Burrong Road, Glen Huntley, Caulfield South. 9 metres at Flemington should be covered pretty easily, Professor. The Standish has got only 12 runners this year. I noticed some of the other races have a bit more, but look, a pretty ordinary meeting, I would have thought, Professor, if I could say that. I've left the Standish handicap alone. A couple of horses there we like that we've backed in It's Our Time, Gamekeeper, Deep Image, Tarath, and the Astrologist. So we'll leave that one alone, Professor, I think.
All right, Gelding, what are your 2 red-hot tips for today's Flemington meeting?
Well, I'm going kind of early-ish, Professor, in race 3 and race 4. The first one I like is race 3, number 7, Somerset Magham. Is that the right pronunciation, Professor?
Morn. Somerset Morn.
Sunset Morn, okay. Trained by Danny O'Brien, ridden by Jamie Carr. This horse ran second last start at Flemington, beaten by a length. Thought it was a pretty good run to finish off in what I think is going to be a relatively ordinary race, Professor. I'm hoping Jamie Carr in the small field of 9 can place his horse beautifully and be charging home over the top of them, hopefully for a nice win. I think our odds are round about, Professor, the $2.60 mark. Maybe just a nice way to get us going. I'll then go into race 4, number 1, Professor. Can't Go Wong, spelled W-O-N-G. Of course, a bit of fun with the naming. I know one of the part owners of this horse has a Chinese restaurant, owns a Chinese restaurant. in St Kilda, Professor. So quite a nice named horse, trained by Mara and Eustace, ridden by Johnny Allen. It's had 2 starts, Professor. Both starts at Sandown midweek class. It's won both of them. They now move it up to Saturday class, Professor, which seems a natural progression. It's performed at this midweek level. Now going to Saturday level, 100% win rate, Professor. Round about the each way odds, 420, 450. So we'll go that way, Professor. So race 3, horse 7, and race 4, horse 1. And you like, Professor?
All right, Gelding. I'm going a little bit earlier than you. Race 2, the Furphy Refreshing Ale Trophy. Now, that name of that race, you could quench your thirst with that one, couldn't you? The Furphy Refreshing Ale Trophy.
Refreshing Ale, yes. Maybe.
All right, a 3-year-old benchmark 70 race over 1,400 metres. I like horse number 1, Decent Rain, coming out of barrier 4. It's had 12 starts for 2 wins and 5 placings, 17% win rate, 50% place rate. Its last start at Caulfield Gelding was on Boxing Day. It got caught behind the 3 runners at the front of the field. It should have beaten Ton of Grit and Victory Bay. It didn't get out till late and still managed to finish 3rd. I can interpret from the change in jockey because they had Josh Richards, the apprentice, on Boxing Day. I think Mara and Eustace have decided to show they were displeased with the run. That's what it appears to me. Matthew Cartwright, claiming 2, is on at 59 kilos. Mara and Eustace in great form, 16% career win rate, 22% over the last 50. I managed to get $3.40 and $1.80 last night, Gelding. It's showing $2.80 and $1.60 on the tape this morning. So I'm glad I was struck last night while the iron was hot.
Professor, you've been on fire with your tips of late and getting some good odds the night before. No reason to jump off your tips, Professor, and Decent Rain should have won it. Did it have a little trip to Sydney after the Melbourne run?
I don't know. Gelding, did it?
I don't know. But it might have gone up for a gay Mardi Gras or something after its Melbourne run, do you think?
It certainly, no? it certainly saw a lot of horses in front of it, Gelding. And almost, it was like the charge of the Light Brigade, only it was in the wrong position.
Professor, I'm sure that I see the horse races in the Sangster colours, so I'm sure Mr. Sangster may have said something to the trainers, or the trainers might have said something to the jockey, and we certainly do have a different jockey on board this time. So
yeah, well, we hope that it's given free rein and it improves on its running. My second selection, Gelding, race 9 in the Jockeys Challenge. Fillies and Mares, benchmark 78 over 1,600 metres, worth $130,000 if you don't mind. I'm going for horse number 2, Stay Gold, out of barrier 2. Had 18 starts for 5 wins and 5 placings. A 28% win rate, 56% place rate. It's a last start winner at Flemington Gelding, and it beat Mississippi, which is in this race. It's in form over the last 4 races. It's had 2 wins and a placing. So I like the form. I like the odds too, Gelding. Last night I got $8.50 and $2.60. It's into $7 this morning.
A beautiful each way bet, Professor, and yes, Jamie Carr rode it perfectly last time to beat Mississippi by a short margin at Flemington. So very much, they meet again. Let's hope Jamie gives it the ride that she gave it last time. No reason why she wouldn't. She wouldn't, Professor. As you know, we are biased. We do think she's one of the better riders in Australia. So she should be good. Again, I see Mississippi as being its danger, Professor. And as we said, they're having a pretty good run with Mississippi and earning good prize money without winning races. So, you know, hopefully the connections might have a bit of a change there. But we hope Mississippi runs second again and Stay Gold beats it again.
Definitely, Gelding. All right, the Professor's Parlay, which has been very successful of late.
Has the fire brigade rang you, Professor?
What was that, Gelding?
Has the fire brigade rang you? You're on fire. You've just been on fire.
All right, Gelding, the agreed bet of the day. Race 4, horse 1, Can't Go Wong. That's currently showing $4.20. And let's parlay that into Liverpool, who are unlucky during the week, had a draw at home against Arsenal in the League Cup. Neither team could hit the score sheet, but they're third in the Premier League, 12 wins from 20 matches, a plus 34 goal difference. And let's tip them to beat Brentford. 13, they've only won 6 times, Gelding, and they've got a -6 goal difference. So at $1.25, Liverpool at home, very hard to go past. And then let's parlay that into the AFLW. You'll have to get on early because it's this afternoon's game. Collingwood AFLW team to beat St Kilda AFLW team. Collingwood 4th. Admittedly, there's only one game being played in the season, but they beat the Blues, and the Blues should be a pretty handy team. St Kilda lost to Richmond. I've tipped St Kilda to come last in the AFLW this season. So I can't see Collingwood losing at Victoria Park. They're home for many
spiritual
years.
Home ground,
Spiritual
Professor.
home ground, yes. They should be successful. The parlay today showing 6-1, Gelding.
Oh, very nice, Professor. And Wednesday's parlay still alive as well.
Yes, Gelding.
I hope the listeners have been getting on this parlay, Professor.
Yes, Gelding.
They would have been doing all right the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
Or the last month and a half.
It's 4 out of the last 5, Gelding. So not doing too badly at all.
An 80% strike rate, Professor, with 3 tips in each one. You've got to get the 3 tips to win.
Exactly.
And you're striking at 80%.
Yeah. So doing well, and hopefully we can keep it up.
I'm doing better than well, Professor.
Modesty always hey, Gelding. Modesty's better than spruiking it too loudly, because you know, there's a fall just around the corner if you take it too seriously.
Oh, well, Professor, everyone accepts that it's punting, you know, so you can't, it's very hard to do that. But when I'm certainly going to blow your trumpet when you're at those type of levels. Like, what would still be a winning percentage was if you were averaging at 30% or 25%, you would still be making money. But at the moment, your strike rate being 80% is just, many tipsters would love that strike rate, Professor.
Well,
so I'm going to blow the trumpet on it.
We hope that all the fans are taking heed, and hopefully there'll be a fill up for both of us today at Flemington, Gelding. So until next Saturday, it's good luck.
And good punting.